January 1998, Quebec. A storm that didn't roar, it simply arrived and refused to leave. Ice built in layers, not inches, but feet. Power lines bowed, then broke. Transformers exploded in silent flashes across the province. In the town of Beauharnois, the grid failed completely. City Hall went dark. The police station followed. The emergency shelter, packed with hundreds of families, lost heat and light in hours. Temperatures plunged below freezing. Inside, breath hung in the air. This wasn't a short outage. Hydro-Quebec crews were overwhelmed across hundreds of miles. Repairs were measured in weeks, not days. Generators at the shelter burned through fuel faster than trucks could deliver it. Batteries faded. Emergency lights dimmed. Children shivered under blankets. Seniors struggled to stay warm. The mayor stood in a frozen office, watching the town disappear under ice. Every standard plan had run out of options. Time was no longer on their side. Hypothermia wasn't a risk, it was arriving. Then someone asked a question no emergency manual had ever anticipated. When the grid is dead, where do you find power? The answer was sitting on a siding less than a mile away, a Canadian National Freight locomotive, an MLWM 420 diesel electric, over 100 tons of steel and engineering. Most people see a locomotive and think only of motion, pulling tons of freight across the country. But beneath that purpose lies something else, a massive diesel prime mover driving a huge alternator. That alternator produces electricity first, then sends it to traction motors to turn the wheels. The capacity is enormous, stable, designed to run continuously under heavy load. In short, a locomotive is a mobile power plant on rails. The idea was simple in theory, radical in practice. Use the locomotive's generator to feed the town's critical buildings. One machine could deliver more stable power than every emergency generator in Beauharnois combined. But turning theory into reality required overriding every instinct about risk and protocol. The mayor called Canadian National Railways. The request was unprecedented. Borrow a mainline locomotive to power a town. Silence on the line. Then questions. Safety first. Any connection had to be completely isolated. No chance of backfeeding into damaged lines where crews were working. Voltage, frequency, phase alignment, everything had to match. Load management. The buildings couldn't surge and damage the alternator. Liability, insurance, physical risk of moving a 100-ton machine off the rails in ice. Engineers debated. Lawyers hesitated. But reports kept coming in. Shelter temperatures dropping. Fuel reserves hours from empty. No other option existed. CN gave the green light, under the strictest conditions ever written for a locomotive. The logistics were brutal. A heavy lift crane rolled in through glazed streets. Crews worked in sub-zero wind, breath freezing on masks. Slings positioned under the locomotive's frame. Chains tightened. Then the lift. Steel wheels rose off the rails. Cables groaned. The entire machine hung suspended above ice-slick pavement. Slowly, carefully, it was lowered onto the street. Asphalt cracked under the weight. Guided by spotters on foot, the locomotive crawled toward City Hall. Steel on asphalt, a sound like grinding thunder echoing between buildings. Every turn calculated, every manhole avoided. Residents watched from windows, faces pressed to frosted glass. A machine built for rails now rolling through their streets to keep them alive. Final positioning outside the shelter and City Hall. Municipal electricians isolated critical circuits, heat, lights, communications. CN engineers tuned the output. The diesel idled up. 375 kilowatts. Clean, stable, 60 hertz. The moment the connection went live, lights returned. Heaters hummed to life. Warm air began to move. In the shelter, people looked up as fluorescent bulbs flickered on. Children stopped shivering. Parents exhaled for the first time in days. The temperature began to climb. For days, the locomotive ran. A second unit stood ready as backup. Fuel trucks kept the tank topped. Bearings checked for heat damage. Alternator and cooling systems thoroughly tested. Only after full maintenance did it return to freight service. This wasn't a stunt. It was engineering meeting necessity head-on. A reminder that resilience often hides in plain sight, in systems we take for granted. As grids age and extreme weather intensifies, stories like Beauharnois matter more than ever. When standard solutions fail, the difference between crisis and survival can come down to one question: what else can this machine do? And if you want more stories of machines refusing to let people down, subscribe to Amerix. We've got plenty more where this came from.